Good day, viewers. My name is Okoyoluwa Valentine Ayodele, and I'm a biology instructor. Today, we'll be looking at the topic titled Alternation. Alternation of Generation. Alternation of Generation in plants. Alternation of generation in plants. So when you say alternation, when one generation alternates with another generation, they exchange each other. Yes, they exchange themselves. And it's common in the life cycle of plants. So now, in plants show two types of generation. The first one is the gametophyte generation. The gametophyte generation. And the second one is the sporophyte generation. The second one is the sporophyte generation. The gametophyte generation and the sporophyte generation. So you have something like this, you can have the gametophyte like this. And you can have the sporophyte like this. So what happens is this: they alternate at a particular stage in the life cycle of the plant, they are gametophyte. At another stage, they are sporophyte. At another stage, they are gametophyte. So they alternate like that. They alternate like that. So we are going to, now if you look at the plants, now the common ones we discuss alternation of generation is normally the moss, bryophytes, bryophytes, bryophyta, particularly the moss, pteridophyta, pteridophyta, the ferns, and the flowering plants. Flowering plants. Now, for these three types of plants, there's one where there are some plants in which the gametophyte is a dominant plant, and there is one in which the sporophyte is a dominant plant. So let's take the first one. Now let's look at moss. Moss. Now, before we go to moss, I will explain what gametophyte means. What is gametophyte? Gametophyte. Gametophyte is haploid. It's haploid. Haploid. When you say haploid, it means it contains one set of chromosomes. Haploid means it contains one set of chromosomes. Chromosomes. In my previous class, I explained what chromosomes were. Chromosomes are what is used to carry out bring about cell division through mitosis or meiosis. So they produce gametes. They produce gametes. This haploid produce gametes by mitosis. Produce gametes. Male and female. You can call it sperm and egg by mitosis. So they produce mitosis. So this is the gametophyte. And for the sporophyte now, sporophyte, this is diploid. This is two sets of chromosomes. Two sets of chromosomes. And they produce spores. Produce spores by meiosis. When the male and female gamete fuses, it forms sporophyte. The young, so we might call it the young plant. The young plant. So the haploid gamete will fuse to form sporophyte. The sporophyte grows, it produces spores. Once spores are produced, spores will also undergo mitosis again to form haploid gametophyte. So you have the sporophyte forming gametophyte. Gametophyte grows again, divides to form sporophyte. That's it. Now, we have what is called, let's talk about the moss now, the bryophytes. Bryophytes, bryophyte now. You're looking at moss now. You look at the moss, and an example of a moss is Funaria hygrometrica. Funaria hygrometrica. Funaria hygrometrica. If I draw the Funaria for you, something like this. Yeah, something like this. So these are the leaves. This is the stalk. Sector. Then yeah, spores are produced here. Spores are produced here. If you're looking at it closely now, this place forms the gametophyte generation. Gametophyte generation. This one forms the sporophyte generation. So in the case of bryophytes, the dominant plant is the gametophyte. The gametophyte here is the dominant plant. The gametophyte is the dominant plant. The sporophyte is attached and dependent on the gametophyte. It cannot live on its own. The sporophyte is attached and dependent on the gametophyte. It cannot live on its own. So the female gametes are covered under the leaves here. Under the leaves here, you have the female gametes. Yeah. So that is bryophyta, Funaria hygrometrica. So once the male and female gametes are produced, they form spores. Spores grow again, develop by meiosis to form gametophyte again. So this is Funaria hygrometrica moss, bryophyta. That's it. So now we move to the ferns. Ferns belong to a group called Pteridophyta. And for the ferns, an example is Gyropteris. In the case of ferns now, the sporophyte is the dominant plant. The sporophyte is the dominant plant. Sporophyte is the dominant plant. However, the gametophyte is not attached to the sporophyte. The gametophyte is not attached and is dependent on the sporophyte. It lives on its own. It lives separately. The gametophyte, it lives separately. Now this gametophyte, they call it gametophyte. Gametophyte is called the arc. Gametophyte is the arc-shaped prothallus. Gametophyte is the arc-shaped prothallus. So I draw the gametophyte for you now. It's like this. Gametophyte is like this. This is the gametophyte is like a heart. Has the arc-shaped prothallus. Here is called the archegonium. This is the female gamete. Here is called the antheridium. This is the male gamete. And here are the rhizoids. One similarity between sporophytes and gametophytes is that they are both green and they contain chloroplast. They are both green and they contain chloroplast. The plural of archegonium is archegonia. while the plural of anteradium is anteradial. So it's a heart-shaped prothallus. It's not dependent on the sporophyte, even though the sporophyte is the dominant plant. Now it's faint. Even though the sporophyte is the dominant plant. Now it's faint. Now if you look at flowering plants now, flowering plants. In flowering plants now, in flowering plants, the gametophyte is the dominant plant. The sporophyte is the dominant plant. The sporophyte is the dominant plant. Dominant plant. The gametophyte is attached to the sporophyte and dependent on it. The gametophyte is attached to the sporophyte and dependent on it. Unlike ferns, where the gametophyte and sporophyte live independent lives. In flowering plants, the gametophyte can't live independently. It's attached to the sporophyte and dependent on it. So, giving a recap, we say alternation of generation involves two cycles, gametophyte alternating between sporophytes. This brings us to the end of today's class. See you next time.